So my last video was about how ironic my life is now, and I managed to forget to mention the one of the key aspects of how ironic my life is. Got a brain injury, right? So it happens from time to time. So in my current profession, if you want to call it that, I work in an HVAC warehouse, which one of the main things you have to do in my job is your memory. Your memory is very key. You have to remember every location where something is, how many quantity of something you have to have, the item number, simple stuff like that, which, to the regular Joe, that's it's like nothing, right? But this is it's very hard for me. It's challenging. I have to focus very hard every day, 5 times a week, or 5 days a week, 40 plus hours. So I think that's pretty challenging to remember all that stuff. I mean, it's therapy for me every day, pretty much. So it's it's a love-hate relationship, really. Yeah, you kind of hate work. Who doesn't? But at the same time, you have to kind of like it, or I do, because it's a way of learning for me every day. So that's something I forgot to mention in my last video. Like I said, I have a brain injury, so my memory, short-term memory, is kind of affected sometimes. So, that being said, I wanted to talk about, there's two things I really recommend for a TBI survivor who's going to go through all this stuff. And the two things I really recommend are, one is patience. And I feel like the biggest hypocrite saying this, because I'm the most impatient person ever, I promise you. But this is something, you got to be patient, and everything is going to work out for you. I promise you. It may not seem like it at first. It may seem like the end of the world, and it probably will be. But it gets better in the end, I promise you. Okay? And another thing is to get a therapist. And the reason I say this is because there is so many things that are going to be going through your head, so many things you're going to go through, that you have so much on your mind, you have to speak it and tell to somebody, or you're just going to go nuts. So I recommend getting a therapist, just so you can talk it out with somebody. No, they may not understand. Nobody in the world will understand what you're about to go through, but they can just be an ear, someone to listen to your problems. And if you, you could be like me. I didn't get one. Of course, I went and saw one here or there in the beginning of my recovery, and they said, "Oh, you're fine. We don't need to see you anymore." So I recommend it because, like I said, there's a lot going to be going on through your mind, a lot you're going to go through, and you're just going to have to talk about it. And maybe it will help you work through it easier, okay? But aside from that, I wanted to talk about the side effects of what a TBI survivor, what I went through. Maybe not me particularly, maybe you're not going to go through what I went through, but these are the things that are probably, they're very common, and you're probably going to go through them, okay? And a lot of these things, I don't have a trick of the trade of how I overcame it and got through it. It's just a part of the healing process. Your brain is going to heal, and it's going to beat this. And the brain is a fascinating thing. Nobody knows what's going to happen. So it's very interesting, very cool to me, to learn all this stuff and to go through it and beat it. And these are the things that you're probably going to go through, okay? Now, first one is sleep deprivation. I'm very fortunate to be able to sleep on a normal level. A lot of TBI survivors, they can't sleep. They gotta take like every medication you could think of to try and sleep. And yeah, I've had my trial and error with medications in the past, but nowadays I am down to just taking melatonin, which is all natural, over the counter. You can buy from Vitamin Shop any place, Walmart, wherever. So if you're having sleep problems, I do recommend a 10 milligram melatonin for that. That is one thing that I have. But yeah, I'm very lucky. It's very rare. A lot of TBI survivors, they can't sleep a wink, and sleeping is very key because your brain needs the oxygen to it to help heal and repair itself. So, and another side effect is sleep apnea. And even a TBI survivor won't get this. I mean, regular common people will get sleep apnea. And if you don't know what sleep apnea is, it's a sleeping disorder that occurs when a person's breathing is interrupted during sleep. Basically, you stop breathing when you're asleep, which is so bad for you. Your brain stops getting oxygen to it, and it's like everything just shuts off. So, and yeah, you may sleep all night or you think you slept, but if you have sleep apnea, you weren't really breathing during your sleep. So you'll wake up and you'll go through spurts of, I feel okay, and then you'll be tired all day long. And that's to get over this, you can get what's called a CPAP machine, which I had to do, and I used this for months, and it was a pain in the ass. I mean, this thing is so loud, and it's just shooting out air all night, and you can wear like a face mask. So even when your brain shuts off and stops breathing, there's still air coming in, a good flow. So, it's very loud. It's very hard to sleep through, and that makes it impossible for you to go spend the night somewhere. Go stay somewhere. You got to stay home. You got to have your CPAP machine. Annoying as hell, but eventually it can go away. It is curable. And like I said, the patience thing, you got to be patient because eventually it will go away. And like when it happened to me, I was like, God, I can't sleep apnea for the rest of my life. Who could live like this? But it will, maybe 6 months I had to deal with it, and eventually it just went away by itself. So that's with the sleep apnea. And your anxiety is going to come into play. You're going to get very anxious about doing everything because everything you do is pretty much like you're doing it for the first time. Everything, it really is. So you'll get anxious, you'll get anxiety. Your anxiety levels will go through the roof because you just don't know what's going on because it's like you've never done this before. And it really is like the first time you're doing everything. And people don't understand it because, look at me, I was 26 years old, walking around doing everything for the first time, and people are like, what's wrong with this guy? So anxiety levels are going to be pretty high, okay? Also, your balance and equilibrium is going to be so off. You're going to feel so shaky. You're not really going to know where your center of gravity is, I guess. You're just not going to know where to focus. So you're just going to feel like you're all over the place. For example, when I first started this road to recovery, it was very hard for me to even, walk a straight line. I felt like I was in a DUI check, trying to walk a straight line for the cop. Yeah, it's a joke, but it really is like that. And for example, I remember I was visiting my sister in New Jersey, and it was very hard for me to even run on a treadmill. So your balance will be off. Your temper, you're just gonna get mad at everything. Trust me. And it's not a personality trait. It's just this is just how it is. You're confused about everything because, like I said, you're doing everything for the first time. So you don't know what's going on really. And when you're confused, you don't know what's going on. The easiest thing for you to do is it's like you have a wolf in your brain. If you're confused, you're lost, whatever, you just get mad, and it makes it easier to focus on what's going on. And and that's a theory of mine, is people say, TBI survivors, they can't focus. They have it's like they have ADD. But my theory on that is, when you're really mad, then you can focus. You can focus on that one thing that pisses you off, and it works. But I'm sure there's more to it. But that's a little theory of mine. Also, the pee problem is what I've come to call it. That's very common. No, I haven't come up with a way to beat it, but I've come up with many ways to maintain and manage it. Like I've said before to you, you have to stay hydrated, drink pH 10 level water. The more water you drink, the better. And I know it doesn't make any sense, because your natural thought process is, well, if you're peeing all the time, stop drinking so much water. But if you're peeing all the time, you have to drink water, because you'll get dehydrated. So it makes no sense, trust me, I know, but that's just how it is. If you're peeing all day, you got to drink plenty of water too. Okay. And this next one is embarrassing, because my mom is probably going to see this, but it's just a part of it. It's part of life. You're going to have a high sex drive. Okay. And the reason is, from the brain damage, you may have hormonal changes, and that could either make it very high or make it very low. And the reason is, it will affect your testosterone and your estrogen levels. And like I said, it's different for everybody. There's really no telling what is going to happen. Okay? And that, like I said, that's very embarrassing to talk about, but it's just a part of life. So, if you have any questions or comments on this, please leave them below. Thank you.